This tomato may look like an ordinary tomato, but is actually grown 20 minutes from here. This Sonic is open for business as usual after a woman was gunned down here Wednesday night. A mother says at this daycare, her child was force-fed hot sauce as a form of punishment. Many Arkansans were affected by the thunderstorms Thursday night, and as you can see behind us, this building was also damaged. After a boy nearly drowned here at the Cabot Water Parks, they've implemented new mandatory rules. Experts say to have a safe but fun canoeing experience, one must always wear a life jacket and be aware of your surroundings. We are here at New Horizons Apartments, where last night at 10 p.m. a fire broke out. And as you can see behind us, the North Little Rock Fire Department is tearing down the remnants of what used to be someone's home. A resident tells us that he is heartbroken and devastated by this incident, but he feels that this fire was intentional.
It's got to be somebody with an evil heart, to do something like this.
Jose Romero says he was in bed by 9 o'clock Monday night, only to wake up an hour later to a smoke-filled room.
When I woke up, the smoke was so thick.
Our unit showed up and saw a large amount of fire pretty much in the center. At that time, they started extinguishment operations and evacuation operations.
North Little Rock Fire Marshal John Flasterer says 9 residents were displaced by the fire, but there were no fatalities.
We had a few minor injuries. Some of the residents actually had to exit out windows. They weren't able to get out of the door because of the fire and the heat and the smoke.
Flasterer says they do not suspect any foul play at this time, but an investigation will continue throughout the week. From the outside, this house looks ordinary, pleasant even, but the inside tells a different story.
The stench is so bad when you open up the door that it'll make you sick.
The house is so, I don't know how to explain it. You'd have to see it. It's disgusting.
Scott Camp, who lives right next door, says the resident lived in garbage for about the last decade.
It's just completely trashed. It's probably 1.5 feet to 2 feet deep. It's standing in dog feces, human feces, every garbage package that you could ever imagine is in there.
Camp says he and other neighbors helped to keep the outside of 64 Cato Trails presentable, but now it's too much and something needs to be done.
That's real common with even inside the city limits and outside is Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo. These big banks aren't actually here physically in Arkansas and can't see the problem.
State Representative Bob Johnson says the problem is all too familiar, and he is currently looking at laws to see how he can help solve this.
We need to look at legislation that may be to protect an area, citizens, because most important is human life. That is the most important thing, and but we don't want to infringe on property owners' rights. So in between there ought to be a happy median.
These people have their money invested in these nice homes out here, and this one here is a dangerous situation.
Here's a look at the top stories. Right now, a multi-state investigation is underway into the lone gunman that killed 3 officers and injured 3 more in Baton Rouge on Sunday. The suspect, former Marine Gavin Long, was originally from Kansas City, Missouri. Authorities there are searching the suspect's home while other investigators are going through social media and emails trying to find a motive. A vigil is planned for tonight to remember an American student who has now been confirmed among the dead in last week's Nice, France terror attack. The FBI now confirming the body of 20-year-old Nicholas Leslie has been found. The University of California, Berkeley student had been missing since the attack, and his parents arrived in France over the weekend to help search for him. Street crews in Little Rock have been putting in long hours to get rid of fallen debris as Energy continues work on remaining outages this morning. Hundreds of calls have been put into officials since Thursday. By Sunday afternoon, only about 10 locations were still blocked off because of downed utility lines and trees. The city is reminding people they can place storm debris at the curb for pickup in the coming days. Right now, Energy says 900 customers are still without power, but they are working with the help of linemen from 15 other states until everyone's electricity is back on. At age 72, Mick Jagger is expecting child number 8. The new expecting mother is reportedly 29-year-old Melanie Hamrick, a ballerina in New York City. Hamrick and Rolling Stones frontman have been dating for 2 years. The Stoneman's frontman is also a grandfather and a great-grandfather. This really happened. One couple took the plunge to celebrate their big day. James and Courtney decided to get married on a roller coaster. After looking at different venues for their wedding, the couple decided to get married where they had their first date, at the amusement park. As they plunged 325 feet, they shouted, "I do," but they saved the kiss for steady ground after the ride.